4-hour work week, escape the 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. And he joins us live this morning from New York. Good morning.
Good morning.
Catchy title, got to tell you this, but can anyone really have a successful career and a productive business on just 4 hours a week?
The surprising answer is yes. If you'd asked me in 2002, I would have said no. I put in the usual 80 to 100 hour, quite literally, work weeks in Silicon Valley, first as an employee and then as a CEO. But part of giving my guest lectures at Princeton University in high-tech entrepreneurship led me to question a lot of those assumptions about career and work-life balance. And after 20 countries and dozens of case studies, the conclusion was yes, it can be done. And it's really, in a world where the average work week is now 70 hours, according to Forbes, the option is either up or down, and I think a lot of people want to go down.
A lot of people want to go down because according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, more Americans are working longer than we ever have, or we have just obsessed with the job, or we obsessed with getting ahead, or do we not understand how to work more effectively and efficiently?
I think that there are a number of issues. We have a certain dedication in the U.S. to hyperactivity, so it's a real fixation on activity and being busy as opposed to being productive. And when you sit down and you look at how, let's say, Richard Branson, the CEO of Virgin, works, or you look at the CEO of, let's say, IKEA, you notice that there are some distinct differences in how they operate. And we all have the same 24 hours. So when you break it down, you see that even someone like Branson says he can handle his business in the first 15 minutes of each day if he prioritizes properly.
All right,
but for most, go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to get to some of the examples because when you talk about cutting down the amount of time, we don't have that much time. So let's talk about this. You say Americans can eliminate 50% of their work in the first 48 hours. 50% of their work in just 48 hours. Tell us how that's possible, Tim.
So the first thing they need to do is define their work very clearly, and Peter Drucker said this was the biggest challenge. So how is my performance being measured? Once you do that, you want to do an 80-20 analysis in two ways. So the first is you look at the 20% of activities that are really contributing 80% of the desired outcomes, and then conversely, you look at the 20% of people and activities that are consuming 80% of your time, and then work to minimize or eliminate those. And the effects can be quite dramatic, especially when we cut out a lot of the email distraction that people are addicted to.
So you're saying focus, focus, focus. In the book you mentioned training your boss to value performance over presence. I mean, let's look at the final product as opposed to the amount of time I spend at the desk in the cubicle or in the office?
That's exactly right. So moving from a presence-based model where you're measuring ass and seat time, so to speak, to a performance and results-based model. And so when I've spoken to companies like Google and PayPal and others, they're already moving in that direction. But even as an employee, you can help catalyze some of those changes on a personal level and really train your boss to look at your output as opposed to just the hours that you're putting in.
You're right. So don't worry about how much time I spend at the office. Look at the final product. In the book, you also say we should go on a media fast for 1 week and not read anything, turn off the TV, magazines, newspapers, etc., except focusing on your book. That seems a little dangerous to have people live in a vacuum, but are you saying this will help us to focus on our task?
No, you're exactly right. It's not so much operating in a vacuum, but recognizing that in a digital world, you'll always have less attention than information that's imposed on you. So going on a low information diet and blocking out the things that are either irrelevant to your objectives or inactionable, which happens to be most things. So really reestablishing those barriers and filters is key to single tasking, so to speak.
All right. And then I guess you were saying once you accomplish this, but can you join the new rich? I mean, will you be able to find yourself getting the pay raises and the increases that you think you've earned and deserve?
Absolutely, and the key word being earned. So you'll find that as soon as you start living a lifestyle and career by design, it's not only possible to increase your output while decreasing the input, but it's really mandatory because people will abuse your time to the extent that you let them, and time is really what makes your income valuable or not valuable.
All right, Tim Ferriss, he's the author of the 4-Hour Work Week, Escape the 9 to 5, Live Anywhere, Enjoy the New Rich. And you can find out more about him by logging on to our website. More about the 4-Hour Work Week on our website at cnight.tv/your morning.